After the attack culminated, the party caught glimpse of the retreating lizard folk that were making their way down the river to the northern region of the forest, closer to where Mendardus, you know, is the border to the swamp. You pursued them on foot for several hours. Uh, the As the hours passed, you got further through the forest, eventually coming to a large precipice, and the party had to make their way down and are now at the foot of this rather large cliff that is about 150, 200 feet up. And you have arrived at the base of this cliff, nearby to a waterfall. The setting sun is turning the sky pink-orange at this point. It's around 6 p.m. And the last indications of where you are going to go, Pedwin was able to cast a locate object spell and got a vague idea of something that he was looking for, and that is off to the eastern portion, or to the east of where you guys are currently. The lizard folk that is traveling with you, he warned that this strange figure, this person with a dark power, they reside to the east of where you are. To the north of where you are is the swamp, and this is where you've been told the lizard folk have made their camp, and Mendardus, you've known that for quite some time. As the sun is setting, the group of you need to decide what you're going to do for the evening, where you're going to make camp, if you're going to make camp at all, what your next course of action will be, and essentially you need to decide amongst yourselves where you go from here.
This is a tree, right?
No, that's just like a large patch of grass.
Oh, okay.
So as you look around the area, you can see the large rocks that you used to scale down the cliff face itself. There are large patches of mosses and grass amongst an otherwise compact dirt floor. Leaves are strewn about. Trees in both a relatively healthy state and somewhat kind of older, gnarled trees that appear to be losing their leaves are intermingled in this area, and it seems like this is the border of where different regions of the forest seem to meet each other. A river the waterfall comes down to the group's right, coming down the side of the cliff and then carries on in a northwestern direction and continues out of sight into the forest.
I wonder if my raft's over there.
What?
I wonder if my raft is over there.
The last you saw of your raft, it was being smashed against rocks before going over the edge.
Oh. Alright. So what's the plan?
Well, I thought the plan was wait until tomorrow when Mr. Fishman continues to lead us.
Okay. So I guess we'll make camp here at the bottom of the rocks.
Is that where you guys are going to make camp? Or are you going to explore the area a bit?
I'm sure it's fine.
I'll walk around and explore a little bit.
I'm gonna put my back up against a rock.
Is there a way to like make your guy click to an angle?
Yeah, when you click on your character, you should be able to drag that little offset square and that'll rotate you.
Well, yeah, no, I mean like snap to angle.
Okay, Mendardus, as you walk around, you start to take in a bit of the lay of the land. Can I get you to make a perception check, please? Okay. Oh, well, it was with advantage, but that didn't matter. 15. Okay, so as you look around, you can start to see a little further along where the river disappears into the forest. You can see fallen trees and other signs of the undergrowth of the forest continuing off to the western region compared to your campsite, or well, compared to your current location. As you look across the river, you can see that it's fairly wide. It's not flowing terribly swiftly, but it is pretty wide in most parts. And further along, you can see that the kind of grassy areas continue off, as was related to you by... The hell was that? Alright then. As was related to you by the lizard folk. East of here is where the one with the dark power, at least according to him, resides. That region of the forest you haven't been to very frequently, because it is a relatively large forest, and there are regions of these areas that you do know to stay away from because they do contain more dangerous creatures. And as you look to the east, you can start to see how the overgrowth gets much, much thicker, and the trees themselves almost seem to become more densely knit, and they cut out a lot of light. But what's more is the undergrowth is relatively thick, and so there's very little wind passing through this area. It's very stagnant. You can see different... before your vision fades off into the dark, you can see more insects and moths and a few birds, small frogs and reptiles kind of skittering, there we go, about in that eastern direction. Further to the south, the trees become more sparse. And you can see that the density of the forest is starting to give way to more kind of open and somewhat marshy areas. And you can't really see too much further, just because eventually the density of trees and plant life and other things that obscure your vision just become too much to discern a lot more details further along. But you can see the tree line with the occasional right angle or shape that stands out as not part of the natural tree line, but from here, that's all you can see.
Is this right here a land bridge going across the water?
Is what?
That.
No. That I was actually supposed to paint over, and I totally forgot to do that.
Well, it's a land bridge now.
No, it's not.
Damn.
There. So what will you do?
I head back to the other guys.
Alright, you head back to the party. You see Morris is resting his back against the rock face that was the cliff that you all descended. Just a few meters away from where Theon landed on you after not quite managing to make a landing.
I'll start drinking from one of my wineskins.
I'm going to use my arcane recovery.
Alright, go ahead and make use of your arcane recovery.
Are we actually sleeping?
I think
well, it depends on where you guys decide to
We're
camp.
short resting right now. What time is it?
It's about 6 p.m.
I always know the hour of the day.
Yes, you do. Actually, I think we ended yesterday, last session, with a short rest. So anything you would have needed to do during a short rest, you probably would have done just now.
Okay.
We don't get hit dice back on short rest.
No, you only get hit dice back on a long rest. Menardus, as you are looking around, you can see that there would be several areas that are suitable for a campsite. You could camp out near the rocks by the river, or you could go further into one of the tree lines. You could back yourself right up against the the cliff face. You could go closer to the waterfall, or the group of you could try and find a way across the river.
I don't know. Do you guys want to cross the river, or do you guys want to stay on this side for now?
We can try crossing the river.
Looks like there's a thin part kind of right in the middle there.
A thin part in the middle, eh?
Right where I'm walking. Yes.
So as Mindardus is walking over, he's... Go ahead.
Is this circle a tree? What is this dark circle?
This right here is one of the older, kind of gnarled and very, very hardwood trees. It's listing a little bit, and you can see some of the roots are torn up. It's not living anymore, but it hasn't been around, or hasn't been dead long enough to decompose very much. So it's just kind of sticking out at an oblong angle. It will eventually fall into the river.
And how like deep and swift moving is this river here?
The river, can you make an investigation check?
Stick your arm in it.
You can't see how deep the river is going. It's not flowing very quickly, but it is a long-standing river, so the channel is relatively deep. It's probably more than... I would say it's more than a meter deep. Probably closer to like 1.5 meters, or roughly 5.5 feet. It's about 10 feet across, a little bit over that. And the banks of the river are muddy, and then they turn into rather stony and pebbly very quickly, and then they descend off into the actual riverbed itself, which is just slick with mud, and there's a few reeds here and there that just kind of poke out the surface of the water.
I look over at Mo and ask him how fast he thinks he can chop down that tree right in front of there.
Fast. I guess I'll walk up to the tree ready to swing. Chop, chop,
So you're going to cut it down, or you're going to push it over?
Let me try pushing it first.
All right. Is anyone going to help him, or is he doing this by himself?
Sure, I'll help.
I'm a big guy. It's hard to put more than one person on the tree.
Yeah.
Well, anyone that's helping or is going to move over to the tree and make a strength check, please.
All right, we'll let Big Mo try by himself.
We can have Pedwin climb the tree and influence to fall down.
Does
what's
this
next,
tree
Mike?
roll a strength check?
Do you say I roll strength check?
So Morris and Mindardus, are you helping push the tree?
No, I'll let him do it.
All right, Morris, roll a strength check. It's all you. The hulking mass that is Big Mo pushes his body weight up against it. Got both arms. You can see the biceps and the triceps and all the deltoid and shoulder muscles flexing as he pushes into the ground, and his feet are digging these increasingly deep trails in the dirt as he is fruitlessly pushing against this thing. It creaks and it groans, and you can see some of the roots start to tear out of their anchoring into the solid soil. But aside from a little bit of listing, it's not going very far.
It's a good thing I didn't critically fail, because I would have shit myself.
I'm the one who decides how much you shit yourself and when.
I took the feat that lets me poop whenever I want.
I took the incontinence feat.
Well, that didn't work.
The super continence.
I wonder if you could pull it down. Would we get more leverage if we tied a rope to the top and pulled it?
Pull it which way?
You'd be pulling it the wrong way.
Yeah, but I have a spell where I can grant someone triple jump distance. So I could grant that on Big Morris, and he can jump across maybe and pull it.
let's try something else first.
Sure.
I am pull out my axe and get ready to swing.
Let's try something else first. I'm gonna completely remove the ability to do your idea.
That's kind of what that alternative suggestion was. I mean, I think the Mindardus' idea would work just fine, but make an attack.
You guys have time to stop me if you want.
No, I guess if you roll a 1, we'll be good.
Oh, I mean, hell, Mindardus, you could just do that if you feel like it.
No, but I want Big Mo to do it because he's stronger.
Oh, fine. Cast me a spell and I'll jump across.
How about we just cut down the damn tree?
Okay, just try cutting it. It's quicker.
Or do I
It's
just roll
worked for
melee?
thousands of years.
Just roll melee
Axe,
attack with.
tree. So you don't even have to punch this one
punch the tree.
to get wood. Ah, okay, never mind.
All right, I'll pull out my.
Fucking Minecraft jokes.
Yep, it's a Minecraft joke.
Actually, could I use one of my hand axes and use a survival check instead?
Certainly, you can make a more kind of careful cut to the tree.
That's what I'm gonna try to do then.
All right.
Fillet the tree.
Do I roll survival?
Yes. Why don't you go ahead and roll a survival check?
Damn it!
It falls the wrong way.
I was just
You,
about to say I should move out of the way.
Morris he's pretty sure he knows how to do this, and he starts hacking away at some of the smaller roots because he thinks he can get this to fall the right way. And as he's hacking away at it, these bits and pieces are coming free, some of them getting in his eyes, and he's not quite looking. And on the backswing, he actually knocks himself in the forehead once, and then from the surprise of it, just kind of topples over onto his butt, and the tree has listed slightly in his direction, but other than that, has not moved too far. Mindardus, what are you doing with your spell?
I just clicked the info button and that's what showed up.
All right. I get frustrated with the tree, so I pull out my great axe. Just gonna do it all in one swing. Fuck you,
Make an
tree.
attack roll.
Before he does, shit.
What? Before he does what?
I want to move away.
All right, move away. Whoa, you really wanted some distance there. All right.
I don't know how big these trees are.
So, Morris, you rear back and you swing the newly crafted axe that you got in the Silver Spear Glades, and it embeds itself about halfway through the trunk, and the tree, from the force of the impact, just leans over about 10 or 15 extra degrees, and you can see now that it is very nearly toppled over. And it's bent at about a 45-degree angle over top of the water now.
Hit it again.
Make another attack. All right, that finishes it off. You sever the tree right at its trunk, as close to the base as you possibly can, and with the structural support behind it, the weight of the tree drags itself over, and it lands, forming a bridge across the water.
Hey, nice. I put my great axe back on my back. All aboard the tree. I uncross the tree, slowly and surely.
Okay, make an acrobatics check.
I'm gonna laugh if you get a 1 and you fall in it and it's only your ankles.
Backflip.
I wouldn't say you did well enough to do a backflip, but
That's a
Morris-
pretty decent roll.
Morris deftly walks across the log, not wavering, not even a little bit. Doesn't even have to put his arms out to balance. Just strolls across it like it's a no task at all.
Okay, I'm gonna cross as well.
All right. Once you cross, you need to make an acrobatics check.
Yay, this is no.
Bringing up the rear. I wave as he floats away.
As Theon pulls himself up onto top of the tree at some of the recently severed rough edges catch on his robe catches on the edge of it, and it throws off his balance. Theon, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Gonna die again, aren't I?
That depends on how you roll.
Ugh.
Fortunately, it's not too difficult to catch yourself. You topple over and you do clamp onto one of the only branches that happens to be within arm's reach. Your feet and the bottom of your robes getting saturated by the river. Fortunately, the pull of it is not terribly strong, and you manage to haul yourself up onto the log, and then crawl over on all fours to the very end, and just roll over top of the edge and onto the dirt.
I laugh. I give a good chuckle.
Morris and the lizard man, the lizard folk pup, the young one that's been with the older lizard folk that's been traveling with you, are both finding this very amusing. Who's next to cross the log?
You want to go, Pedwin?
I'll bring up the rear.
Right.
I really hope the fucking lizard people just walk across through the water.
Or they could swim, being lizard people.
But there was reeds coming out of the water too, so it's not that deep. I think.
Don't read too much into it.
Mindardus, as you are walking across the log, your cat decides this is the perfect time to weave in between your legs, and it decides to dart in between the inner edge of both feet, catching you a little bit by surprise, and you too start to lose your footing. Make a dexterity saving throw. You nearly topple over the log into the river, but you manage to maneuver your foot to counterbalance yourself enough that you can make contact with both feet, and you finish crossing the log without incident.
Yeah.
Bedouin, when you're ready, I'll have you make an acrobatics check.
Let's go. Backflip.
I hate it.
Pedwin walks up to the log, and instead of jumping up on top of it, actually just handstands and then walks along his hands towards the very end of the log, and then hops off doing a front flip and lands on his feet.
He's allowed to do
Backflip.
something cool.
He turns around halfway and does a backflip.
Thank you.
What? What is this?
He got the same roll too.
I'm proficient in acrobatics. Thank you very much.
He is proficient at acrobatics.
Give a little.
The-
I give a big mo little
Doesn't
eye
that-
waggle.
Doesn't that just like roll in with the roll though?
Yeah.
It should roll in with the roll, yes.
So what's the matter? We got the same number.
The lizard folk, he picks up the young pup, and the pup clasps around his torso and shoulder, and he then dives into the river and just deftly swims across. It's nothing to him, and hauls himself up on the other side. As he pulls himself out of the river, you can see him shake himself off and get rid of the excess water as he begins to look around.
I give him a thumbs up.
He looks at you confusedly, and then reaches over and puts your thumb back down.
Wait, he puts my thumb down?
Yeah, like you give him the thumbs up, and he reaches over and then grabs your thumb and like pushes it down.
Put my arm down.
He puts his arm up and gives you a thumbs up.
What?
I put his thumb down.
He shakes his head towards you as if understanding this new custom that he's been exposed to. So you've all made it across the river?
Yeah, I
Hasn't
think
been
so.
very much time. The afternoon sun is still setting over top of the trees that are on the higher elevations. This region of the forest that you're in now seems to be at the bottom of a kind of basin or shelf in the land, where you can see extending further to the east is more of this sheer cliff that just disappears off into the distance, and there is relatively thick forest and trees just continuing off. Sorry, not to the east, to the west. And the cliff edge itself, you can see the sheer edge of it continuing off into the west as well, slowly curving north, but it leaves your vision far before you see the edge of it. So what are you guys going to do?
Let's find a place to make camp.
Agreed.
All right. Everyone who wants to search for a place to make camp, make a perception check.
What?
Okay. As the group of you look around, you begin to see that this area itself is relatively flat. There's not a lot of distinctive features that would make for any natural kind of shelter. It's mostly flat land, either dirt or grass flooring. But there are areas that are less soggy than others, and Mindardus, you were able to pretty easily maneuver towards some of the more solid ground. And you figure that positioning yourself kind of around here, near the edge of the grass, should be reasonably good enough. Morris, as you are moving around and kind of testing with your foot, you notice a little further along that there is an increasingly soft portion to the ground. And you have to actually take a step back because your foot nearly sinks into a larger, kind of darker, quicksand-like consistency to the earth, and that's a little bit northeast of your campsite right here.
Okay.
As you are stepping backwards from this, you can see a little further off into the tree line to the northeast, and you make note of what looks like masonry or man-made construction a little bit further along into the trees.
Ooh. I'll tell the group that there's man-made construction further on into the trees. But I won't tell them about the quicksand for now.
And you'll what on the quicksand?
I won't tell them about the quicksand.
All right. Morris delivers this information to the party.
Do you guys want to go up that way?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, let's party on.
All right.
Party on, Mo.
So who is going first? What's the marching order?
I guess I'll go first.
All right. Morris
Off
is in
to
front.
see the wizard. The wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Pedwin's in last.
All right. Pedman's taking up the rear. All right. So as the group of you venture further forward, you start to work your way into some of the thicker foliage and trees. And as you are making your way there, you come across a very thin pathway that would be very easy to miss otherwise, and probably hasn't been used very, very frequently, if at all, for quite some time. And as you're getting closer and closer there, you're able to pick up the scent of kind of smoldering wood and a little bit of charcoal almost.
Barbecue?
Well, as you continue further forward, you actually come across what appears to be the ruins of a structure. There are stone walls and beams that have toppled over and been shattered. Most of them are quite rotten at this point. And you are looking at the crumbling ruins of a square structure. It's approximately 20 feet by 20 feet. and a fallen entranceway that is partially blocked by rocks appears to be the only way into this structure, which otherwise is surrounded by puddles and rather considerably thick mud. And as your group presses a little further along, the lizard folk starts to circle around the outside of the building, looking further towards the north. He turns towards the younger one that's clasped to his shoulder, and he whispers something in Draconic. Mindardus
Do I overhear?
Mindardus and Theon do both overhear. You can hear him whisper very quietly.
Small one, you hide for now. I will find you.
And with that, the smaller lizard folk unwraps itself from the back and shoulder of this larger one, and you can see him just disappear into the underbrush. The lizard folk turns back towards the group. He walks up and addresses the group of you.
Tribe. This, their home.
And he points towards the northern region of the forest, closer to where the swamp is.
They hunt these grounds. I can mislead, draw them away.
And he almost looks towards the group of you with a kind of searching in his face, almost as if he's asking you a question.
Is somebody translating this for us?
As per earlier, Mindardus has been relating this information to Pedwin and Morris.
Ask them how big their hunting parties are.
I translate.
Mindardus relays the question. The lizard folk thinks for a moment, and you can see him run his hand over top of his blanched white scales of his head. The small strings of charms that are wound in a necklace of dried plant matter around his neck just kind of rustle and make a bit of noise.
Small group, 6 or 8.
Do we need to mislead them? I'm sure we could take them.
This small group, all tribe, further. If they know I am here, they come for us. They come for Husk.
I think it's best not to let anyone know we're here.
Yeah.
The lizard folk seems to take that as some kind of assent.
Then I drive them away, draw them away.
What's
And
he want
he-
us to do?
Hmm?
Does he kind of imply what he wants us to do? Does he want us to just stay there?
Well, he's implying that he's going to be the one that draws them away. So that's what he's going to try and do, and he's not asking for anyone's help.
Okay, bye. Have fun.
I gave him a
turns
thumbs
to-
up.
He pushes yours down and then puts a thumbs up of his own up.
I push his thumb down.
He nods his head, a big kind of up and down motion. And as he leaves, you swear, you've never seen this before, but you swear you actually see a small smile on his face.
Your tribe, sleep now. I find you.
And with that, he disappears into the foliage and the thick underbrush. The increasing amounts of long grass and reeds providing cover for him as he goes from standing right down to flat on his belly and then just disappears off, almost slithering into the long grass, and you lose sight of him very quickly. The group of you are now standing outside this ruined structure.
Does any part of the structure look like it would make for a good camp?
Make a perception check. Everybody make a perception check.
It's a perception check party. Drax like, oh, this quicksand looks like it will make for a good camp spot.
Okay. And Steve, you got a 9. All right. As the group of you investigate, Morris, you note that there's very little roof to this structure. There are a few beams that are still forming some kind of an overhead, and the building itself is slightly listing. The wall seems strong, but it is providing some overhead shelter, and the area inside would be somewhat serviceable for a campsite. As the group of you are investigating this area, Bindardus, you notice that there are footprints in some of the mud surrounding this area, relatively recent ones, walking away, but definitely less than, say, 4 hours old. Pedwin, as you are investigating some of the interior, you make your way around what appears to be a kind of discarded campfire, and there appears to be a rudimentary setup of small stones and just kind of charcoal, burned wood, and you and Bindardus are able to determine that this, again, was a relatively recent fire. There is still a tiny amount of heat coming off from the embers.
Can I tell what made the footprints? Like what kind of creature?
Make a survival check. Yes, you were able to tell these are the footprints of a human. From what you can tell, a small human. Probably no older than maybe 14. They're very slender, probably that of a girl.
Who could that
Edwin,
be?
as you are looking around, you note that there are etchings on some of these walls, and one of them is reminiscent of the goblet that you found, the one large piece of adamantine that you collected from the thieves in the cellar of the groggery. You notice that is etched on one of the bricks of the floor. Bindardus, were you asking something?
No.
Okay. And Morris and Theon, you two are able to discern that this would probably do better than outdoors for a campsite.
As a roof.
Well, half a roof.
Do I see any sling around I could put up on the roof?
There are some discarded beams and pieces of wood, yes. Do you want to climb up to the roof and try and secure it and rig it up?
Actually, it might be safer not to. No.
Okay. The sun has sunk a little lower now. It's getting closer to 7:30.
I'm gonna lean up against the wall to take a nap.
Well, are you guys making camp here? Is this going to be your long rest?
Seems like it.
Yep.
All right.
Big Mo tired. Big Mo want long rest.
Okay. So a long rest is 8 hours. And is everybody going to go to sleep? Is anybody going to go on watch? Last time you guys decided a watch order.
I'll go first. I want to tinker and make some bombs. Boom, boom.
Okay.
I can go after
Does-
that.
Does
So-
Joe let us know he's tinkering? Does Joe make it public that he's tinkering with
Nope.
bombs?
It's fine. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
So the watch is Pedwin, then Mindardus, then who?
I guess I'll take the next one.
And Theon, you're going to take the last shift? Drac?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So the group of you settle in for the night. And is anybody going to do anything overnight aside from Pedwin's tinkering? Or is everybody just going to go straight to sleep?
I'm gonna eat one of my rations, I guess.
All right. Well, everybody's going to have to eat and drink unless you want to suffer from exhaustion.
I don't want
Um,
to suffer from exhaustion.
How when do we remove the rations and stuff from our?
Well, right now, you would remove 1 day's worth of rations and some of your water. Now,
Some of my
Mindardus
water.
being a ranger, he can forage for food and water. But otherwise, Pedwin, you're up first, so can I have you make your tinkering check?
I'm gonna use my portent. 12.
All right. Portent of 12. Okay, and what are you trying to make?
Just bombs. Boom, boom. This
Okay.
is the normal bombs I've made before.
All right. Well, okay, so you used your portent, so it doesn't matter.
So it's and that's +4, so it's 16.
Okay. So portent is applied. It substitutes the roll, but
Yeah,
it doesn't.
yeah.
It's also subject to the modifiers.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So 16. So as before, you were able to make about 3 grenades in using roughly half a pound of gunpowder. So I'm not sure how much you have left. I feel like it's probably closer to. I think it's like less than 2 now.
Yeah.
But you managed to successfully create 3 grenades. So the same kind that you made initially when you guys were in Mason's Rest. You're
Yep.
gonna make the same kind.
Yep.
All right, and you've made 3 of those. Are you doing anything else with your 2 hours of shift?
Nope.
I do have one question. How do I signify that I've drank from my water skin?
Gulp.
Well, I'm gonna say that like a water skin's probably got like 2 days worth of water in it. So after 2 days, just remove 1 water skin.
Okay. Or well, rather make it weigh nothing.
I mean, we're not in a super. It's not like we're in a desert where we have to worry about this sort of thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, water's probably not gonna be a
I
thing you
know.
gotta sweat too much right now.
You can walk back to the river and get more if you need to.
I poke whoever's up next.
That's me.
So about 1 hour into your shift passes rather uneventfully. And on the second hour, Pedwin, you hear the call of a wolf. It's singular, it's distinctive, and it breaks the silence of the night, which up until now has been punctuated mostly by the sound of the river, crickets, frogs, and other nocturnal animals that are slowly starting to wake up and begin their nighttime routines as the dusk is, or as dusk is passing into evening and slowly into night. And you poke Mindardus.
Wake up. I go sleep.
All right.
All right, Mindardus, you have 2 hours on watch. What are you gonna do?
I'll just walk around the vicinity of the campsite a bit.
All right. So as you walk around the campsite, as you stand up and you begin to head towards the door, you notice a shift in the shadow that is nearby to the door itself. That is distinctly organic. You definitely can tell that that was a moving creature just now.
I head closer to
Okay, make a stealth check.
Holy shit, do you ever get bad rolls?
Right?
So Mindardus, as you step outside and you begin to look around, you trace with the edge of the firelight, you can manage to just catch a glimpse of fresh footprints that match the ones that you saw before, and you see a small figure dart around the corner. And if it wasn't for your highly tuned senses, you would not have been able to hear this person or this creature trying to get away, but you do catch on the edge of your vision some movement, and you hear a very slight sound of something fleeing.
I chase it.
All right. As you
And, sorry, I was gonna say I also shout to wake people.
So the party is awoken by the shout of Mindardus, who exclaims that he's found something, and the last that anyone sees of him as their blurry eyes open is him darting out the door.
He's abandoned us to the pod people. Everybody flee.
Mindardus, as you round the one corner of the building, you can see now more distinctly a humanoid shape. It is a relatively young, what appears to be child or adolescent, in very, very dirty clothing and barefoot. She turns for a moment, and you can see that it is a long-haired girl. Then looks at you with a combination of confusion and fear, and then continues to run.
What Panda's not in our party, is he?
Last time I checked.
Oh man.
What do you
I
do, Mindardus?
As I'm continuing to chase, I shout, "We will. I mean you no harm."
Make a persuasion check.
There's the bad roll. Nice job.
The girl stops for a moment and looks at you, and you can see that she doesn't want to be afraid. She doesn't want to keep running, but she looks at you, and you can just see she shakes her head a little bit back and forth and then runs further into the forest, this time heading directly to the west. No, sorry, she heads to the east. There it is.
Am I like closing ground at all, or is she like faster than me?
You are closing ground to her. Right now, you've only got about 10 feet left, and if you wanted to sprint, you'd probably be able to catch her.
Okay, I will continue chasing and grab her once I reach her.
Okay, make an athletics check. What is the rest of the party doing in the meantime?
I'm getting ready to set up a smoke bomb to cover our escape.
I'm.
Oh.
Rip.
Does Pedwin smoke bomb require him to have a fire?
I always have a fire.
I could like attempt to blow out the fire in his hands.
The Mindardus, you have no problem catching up to this girl. You have clearly outclassed this girl in physical capacity, but as you go to latch your arm onto her shoulder to try and stop her from running, the muddy ground underneath you causes you to slip, and you lose your grasp, and you actually face plant into the mud for a moment. And as you pick yourself up, the girl is nowhere to be seen.
Rip.
Well, I head back to camp, I guess. Or well, can I try and find like follow footprints?
Make a survival check.
Oops. Sorry, I did double.
Yes, you can see the footsteps continue to disappear further off into the eastern portion of the island, or in eastern portion of the forest.
Okay, well, I'm gonna head back to camp and report to the other guys.
So as the group of you are making ready, Mindartis, you round the corner and step into the stone ruins of this tower. Your armor and your face have mud caked all over them, and you turn to see a pink-haired gnome with some object clasped in his hand and fire in his other hand. He's looking with great anticipation towards the door, and he keeps lighting up his hand, and then Morris keeps blowing it out. And then he keeps relighting it, and it's blown out, and relighting it, and it's blown out, and you get to walk into an exercise in futility.
Well, I tell them, hey guys, I saw a little girl and she ran away from me and wouldn't stop.
I start backing away.
I'm gonna lean up against the wall again and say that's nice and try to fall back asleep.
I'm still asleep, by the way.
Little lizard
Alright.
girl.
No, she was human.
Oh, human. We should probably find her and keep her from getting back to the pod people. What'd she look like? What was she wearing?
She was small, very dirty, wearing like rags.
I'm gonna locate object on dirty rags.
You're gonna cast it as a ritual?
No, I don't think I can cast it as a ritual. I'm just gonna cast it.
Alright, cast away.
Let me double check.
It's a
It'd be
one-action
great if
spell,
it,
yeah?
like,
Yeah.
runs into people just randomly.
Pew pew.
As you complete the casting of the spell, and you're starting to get increasingly familiar with this, your perception seems to be thrown up and out of the tower itself. You almost look down upon yourself from above, this tiny point of pink concentration in an increasingly wide field of view. And your perception is immediately pulled and drawn in an eastward direction. And you get a very clear vision of dirty rags that are bound by a small rope that is getting further and further away from the tower where the group of you are, but it is beginning to slow down as well. And until it comes to a stop. Probably no more than 250 feet away.
What should we do?
Charge. I point in her direction and charge.
With that, I snap out of it and start charging.
Can always count on you, Big Mo.
Morris, displaying an incredible degree of awareness, goes from lounging against the wall to charging immediately towards one of the walls, heading actually not towards the door but to a window that then he attempts to dive through. Can I get you to make an acrobatics check?
Can I make it athletics instead?
Yes, you can.
Good. Damn it!
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Can we add in a strength check to see if I just break the wall?
Actually, it was gonna be a strength saving throw, but yes, make a strength saving throw. As you attempt to dive, your foot actually gets caught on a piece of loose rubble. As you stumble forward, you bump at waist level into the window itself, and you then topple over, basically flipping 180 degrees, and you land flat on your back in some of the mud surrounding this tower.
I spring out of it and keep running.
You spring up and keep running, although you don't have a direction, so you're just running into foliage at this point.
I'm just gonna jog in the general direction. General correct direction while avoiding things.
Alright,
And,
you still have your flaming hand?
Yeah.
Alright.
After Mo stumbled, I will.
I always have my flaming hand.
Always flaming hands.
Always flaming hands.
So, Mindartis, are you going to pursue?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow.
All right, and Theon, you've got up, and as you wake up, you see the noise of Morris's impact in the mud outside rouses you out of sleep, and you get to witness the rest of your party starting to leave the building that you guys have camped out in for the evening.
I rush after them.
Wait, so you said I wasn't going in the right direction at all?
Hmm?
You said I wasn't going in the right direction at all?
You just got up and you immediately moved forward in the opposite direction or the opposite to the wall you were resting on, and you tumbled out the window. Pedwin's the one who knows the direction of the thing he's looking at, so it's going to be up to him to lead the way. You're currently just running into the forest.
Eh.
Are you just going to continue to barrel on heedlessly?
Yeah.
All right. So, Pedwin, you hear the cacophony of crunching and snapping and the sound of a large animal moving through the undergrowth.
Do I know it's Big Mo?
You can I was going to make you make an intelligence roll, but you can reasonably surmise it's Big Mo based on seeing him tumble out the window and then seeing Big Mo-sized footprints disappear off into the underbrush.
I'm gonna yell Big Mo. Big Mo, she changed direction. She's over here.
Do I hear him?
You hear him.
Then I'll turn around and start running towards his voice, I guess.
You check over your shoulder to see the direction that Pedwin is pointing in, and the group of you take off in the direction of...
In the correct direction?
In the correct direction, where Pedwin's spell is homing in on.
The three of us?
No, the four of us.
Oh, I thought you said three. Okay.
Are we getting closer?
All right. You are getting much closer. However, the noise that the group is making, you can detect that what you're trying to pick up on is starting to move around. It's actually circling south, and it seems to be trying to double back around the group.
I'm gonna slow down and try and sneak up on her.
Okay, everybody make a stealth check.
Oh boy.
Mindardus, you were still in the forest, so you have advantage on this, I believe. Wait, is that what favorite terrain gives you? Let me double check that.
Yes, it does.
It would give him advantage on any ability checks in favorite terrain.
I'm not sure about any, but most.
But it does for stealth?
Yeah.
I'll check right here. It's not going to take very long. No, it doesn't provide advantage on stealth. Okay, so... Oh, that means, alright. So, Pedwin, you're able to keep tabs on where this creature is headed, and you're kind of directing the group, and you inform them that it seems to be trying to circle around you and make it back to the tower that you guys are currently camping in. So the group of you turn around and begin to head back towards that ruined tower. The two magic users doing their best to try and avoid some of the pitfalls and the wet suction of the mud, and still managing to create a fair amount of noise, but Mindardus and Morris are capable, or are able to pull a little bit ahead without making too much noise, and are starting to close in on the tower. Pedwin, according to your spell, the thing you're looking for is in the tower now.
Surround the tower. Smoke her out.
No.
Error.
I guess I'll walk into the tower. Do I know she's in the tower?
Well,
You
I just said
by
she was.
Okay.
Is this
I'll walk into the tower.
is this a big tower or is it like a small watchtower?
It's a pretty small watchtower. It's about 20 feet by 20 feet. The floor is still made of solid stone. Like it hasn't, the floor itself hasn't crumbled or decayed.
I'm gonna get my
Morris.
I'm gonna get my smoke grenade out and get ready to throw it in
All
case
right.
in case he needs help.
Can I quickly shout out to the girl we're not here to harm her and we'd like to help her?
Well, we'll see.
You certainly can shout that out and make a persuasion check.
We'll see how she feels when a 7-foot man walks in. 6'6", you know what I mean.
Damn, that's a nice roll.
Yeah, I have like +6 to the.
So, Theon calls out to the dark that, or I should say to the tower, which still has the small glow of your campfire, that basically that they mean no harm and they're not there to hurt you. And Morris, as you walk in, as Theon is calling this out, this girl spins and sees you, and the two of you are looking at each other across the top of the fireplace, and you can see that she is looking around at windows, at doors, at holes in the walls, at any point of exit that she can see.
I give her a thumbs up.
I was just about to say. Give her a thumbs up.
The girl who, Morris, as you walk in, she appears to be rummaging through what was a concealed, somewhere in the rubble, a small sack of what appears to be food. And she just freezes as you're looking at her.
I give her a thumbs up.
She kind of nods slowly. And she asks you in a very, very timid and like cracking initially, because because she doesn't really know what to say. What are you doing here?
We're looking for someone.
She looks back at you, and as you finish that, her follow-up question is almost immediate. Who?
A rune. Is it a rune?
Yep.
You can see on her face, her expression changes from one of fear to one of confusion, and then her eyes go wide and her eyebrows go up. A boy. A little older than me, right?
Yep.
I've seen him.
Oh.
He helped me. He helped me escape. I don't want to go back there. Please don't make me go.
Go back where?
I don't want to go back with her. And you can look, and she looks out into... She looks out through the window of the tower out to the eastern portion of the forest. She has a home there. It's where she lives, I guess.
Is this the Hansel and Gretel story?
I'll dig through my backpack and pull out a ration and toss it to her and tell her that she's safe with us.
Ish.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
I have food.
Because you have food. Alright, so you got a natural 20 and she rolled a natural 1. She, as you toss her the ration, she looks at the amount of food that's in her hand and her eyes just go wide and you can see her jaw drop a little bit. And she just starts tearing into it and just shoveling food into her mouth as fast as she possibly can.
I'll sit
sounds
and
like
lean
she
against
got a
the wall
natural
again.
20.
So you put your back down to the wall?
Yeah.
Alright. The rest of the group filters in with her some initially surprised reaction, but with Morris's assurance that everything's okay. She doesn't flee at the appearance of the rest of the group.
And Swift Panda's not here, so she should be safe from any magical influences.
Can I ask her if she has seen my mother?
She looks at you. I'm assuming you describe what your mother looks like.
Yeah.
So she looks at you, and then in between mouthfuls of food, just shakes her head back and forth, and she has to kind of swallow the food that she before she can.
Yeah, you're
I didn't get to see my.
robot like
How about now?
better.
Oh, you're good.
All right. What's the last thing I said?
Didn't get to see something.
She shoveled food into her mouth and she's about to say.
And so she's going to say, I don't get to see many people. She keeps me locked up most of the time. But that boy, Urun, he helped me. He got me out of that cage. And when she says that, you can see she kind of rubs back and forth on her forearms, and you can see that all of her limbs and even small portions of her face bear hundreds of small cuts and scars. Some of them healed over from several weeks, some of them very fresh. But there are many cuts that you can see on all of her limbs, and most of her exposed skin seems to bear at least one of these scars.
I'd like to give her one of my potions of healing. Or my only potion of healing from my bag.
She takes it from you and then looks at it and she says, "Is this food?"
I tell her it's to heal her cuts. And she'll feel better after it's gone.
Well, she cut or is it just scarred?
She's scarred. It's heavy scarring. She's not currently bleeding.
Oh, she's not currently bleeding?
No, it's just there's indications of an accumulation of these scars.
Okay.
She hands it back to you and says, "No, thank you." And then kind of slides a little bit further away from you, seemingly kind of nervous.
I thought you said some of them were fresh.
Well, some of them seem pretty fresh, but it's all
Oh.
scars.
Oh, okay.
Alright, I guess I'll say something. So where exactly is this old lady at?
She's in there. It's hard to find. All the trees seem to change places. I had enough trouble getting out of there. They seem to keep drawing me back. What were you going to say?
You think you'd be able to lead us there?
I don't want to go back there.
I already told you won't be harmed when you're with us.
Make another persuasion check.
I'm really pushing my luck with these persuasion checks.
Yeah.
You can see that she's uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable with the idea. But she looks down at what's left of the ration that you gave her and kind of looks back to you. I can try. But you gotta protect me from her. She needs me for something.
Easy peasy.
Okay.
I guess I'll,
Put your thumb up again.
no, I'm not gonna put my thumb up. You know what, never mind. I was gonna hand her a hand axe just in case, but I think my hand axes might be a little too big.
I look at the party and I say, when it comes to that point, I can cast an invisibility spell on her to keep her.
Can you?
I have invisibility.
I think that's only self-cast.
Is it? I thought you can cast invisibility on other creatures too.
Greater invisibility.
Well, definitely greater invisibility.
A
but
creature
that's-
you touch becomes invisible until the spell ends.
Okay.
Spell ends when the target attacks or casts a spell.
Yeah, it's range touch, not range self.
Okay.
All right, so is anybody else want to talk to this girl anymore or ask any other questions? Are you guys going to go back into the night watch order?
Are we back in the same?
Yep, you're back in the tower now, and you can see
So
that
she
that this
actually
girl's.
ran. Okay.
You can see that this girl has kind of pulled out from underneath some of the rubble a small pouch with a few belongings of hers. And as Morris and Pedwin and Theon begin to drift off, Mindardus, you are still on watch. And you, as you are watching this girl as she begins to slowly start to drift off, once again, you hear for the first time the sound of a wolf howl pierce through the night.
Can I tell how close it is?
Make a perception check.
Holy shit.
With your keen hearing and your knowledge of the area and the creatures that reside here, you're able to determine that that sound came from the cliffs that the group of you came down earlier near the waterfall. So not very far from your campsite. This howl was pretty close. The other thing that stands out to you as kind of strange is it doesn't sound like any wolf that you've heard on this island before. This was a different kind. This was a deeper sound. It seemed to resonate more, and there was more almost presence to the whole thing. And you get a very, very mild chill that runs down your spine as it very suddenly pierces the night.
Pod wolves.
God damn it.
Because that's a thing now.
Nope, only pod people, no pod wolves. That's just silly.
Right, of course. How could I have even come up with such a nonsense idea?
I think I came up with it.
The rest of your shift passes without incident, Mindardus. You wake Morris for his shift as you drift off to sleep. Morris, you are awoken by Mindardus.
I sit awake, watching and listening.
The hours of your shift seem to pass by relatively uneventfully. As you look up through the tower, you can see the view of the starfield, and the last time that you were on the Weaver, you got a pretty good view of the night sky from on board the deck of the ship, but in here it's a much more constrained view, but you do manage to see some stars, and you even see the streak of a meteor as it whizzes past the small slice of sky that you get to keep visual on. And your shift seems to pass without much incident. You can tell it's getting on in the hours of the night, and soon it'll be sunrise, and it's about time for Theon's shift.
Yay.
So you rouse Theon as you take up your place against the wall that you were resting on before. Theon, you're woken by Morris's great big human hand shaking you awake out of your dream.
I wanna wake him up by poking him with the end of my great axe.
You take the end.
The non-sharp end.
You take the blunted end with the recently added weights, and you poke Theon.
Oh.
Did he
I
wake
see.
up masturbating?
So I just slowly wake up and I nod to Morris.
I fall asleep instantly.
He falls asleep instantly.
I choose to walk just outside the door to take a quick look around. then return inside. Slowly just listening and
As you are walking around the outside of the tower that the group of you are camping in, you are a little bit distracted because your mind keeps going back to a dream that you had. It was strange because you don't remember too many of your dreams. And in this dream, and as each of you have had this, as you've drifted off to sleep, you've woken up in another area of this forest, one that you don't recognize. It looks different, too. The trees are a little bit larger here, they're a bit more spread out. Some of them are species you haven't seen before. And as you're standing in this slight clearing, you become aware of a woman, a half-elf, who is got her hand on top of the root of a particularly large tree, and she seems to be channeling and mumbling to herself, and there is a coursing of natural energy pumping through her body and into the tree itself.
I'm just thinking about a dream that I had that
You were thinking about a dream, but Mindardus is also having this dream, and Pedwin is having this dream, and
Super
Morris is having this dream.
spooky!
But none of you know this, of course. You're just remembering a dream you had, Theon.
Wait, I'm having the dream right now.
You're having the dream right now.
In the dream, I'm gonna try hitting on the lady.
As you move your form towards the lady, she seems to take no notice of you, but does turn her head and look past you, almost through you, as if she's not perceiving your presence. And as you look into her face, you can see these somewhat gold-colored eyes. They are a pale yellow with some almost like light reflective flakes that are within the iris themselves. She's wearing elegant but simple robes of near pure white, except for where they've contacted the ground and have picked up a bit of dirt or grass. As you turn around, you see that she is addressing someone. She's addressing a creature that emerges from in between the trees across from this small clearing. And this creature is a white wolf. And its form shifts and merges and contorts, and out of it stands a human. Raven-haired, black, curling down along the length of the shoulders. She seems to stretch for a moment and kind of extend her arms up over her head, rotating them back and forth. And she almost yawns briefly. And you can hear a conversation begin between the two people. The newcomer speaks up. You're here again, Isha. Your father sent me to find you. There is no response from the woman. The newcomer continues. What is so important about this? Why do you care so much for this part of the forest? And for the first time, the woman in white speaks up. I saw what the Wither did. I will not let that happen to this part of the forest. So many died, and I will not let this plague consume what is left of my home. What burns me is that this was of our own doing. Lori, we made this happen. And I will fix it. I will fix my father's mistakes. I will fix my brother's mistakes. And it will start here. I will make this forest strong. And you can see with that, she continues to channel some of the energy into the surrounding land. And it's becoming increasingly lush, and you can see that grass is growing into longer and longer lengths around her feet, and flowers are coming into bloom, and the trees themselves are, you can actually see the growth of branches much, much faster than they ever should as they begin to expand through this whole area.
Did we all experience like this dream? Is it like a continuous dream we're experiencing? Like, am I able to see the stuff that O's seeing right now?
All you are going through right now is recalling a particularly vivid dream you just had.
We're all having the dream right now, except for you, who had the dream before you woke
Already.
up.
And
Yeah,
with
and
that, you recall being pulled out of the dream at that point. The last thing you see was your perspective being pulled upwards, and these two figures staring at each other across a small stone pedestal with a small depression in the very center of it, a kind of bowl or hemisphere depression at the foot of this particularly large tree that was having all this energy and magic pumped into it. You all awaken in the morning. All spell slots are recharged, all hit points are replaced, half of your hit die are recovered.
Does
And we
that
can take a
mean-
potty break.
And everybody can take a washroom break.